Hello and welcome to an honest walkthrough and review of Iconic Violin by StreamTech Music. Not only are we going to be looking at this product, but we're going to be comparing it with a competitor side by side with the Spitfire Solo Violin Library, which is roughly the same price. Again, a solo violin library and another company after your money. So it'll be interesting to see which one comes out on top. But if you're on the market for a violins legato patch, I say violins because this is multiple, it's not a single solo violin library, but this is free, works within the contact player, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Has 3 mic positions. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I have done a whole video on it, so go check that out. But before we get into the video, if you want to skip the chatter and just listen to all the audio demos I do throughout this video, there's a chapter at the end of the video called Skip the Chatter, and that's essentially what that is. Back to the feature of this video, the Iconic Violin. So on paper, how does it compare side by side with Spitfire Solo Violin? Well, the Iconic Violin has 21 different articulations in comparison to the Spitfire Solo Violin, which has roughly 13 or 14. You have 6 mic positions with the Iconic Violin, while you have 3 mic positions with the Spitfire Solo Violin. The Iconic Violin is roughly 30 gigabytes, while Spitfire Solos is 5 gigabytes. You do have the total performance patch with the Spitfire Solo Violin, but it depends on your personal preference whether you like that sort of thing. It's basically an all-in-one patch. I find it to be a bit finicky. There is something similar with this one. It's under the Marcato patch. If you actually look down here, the Marcato's got a little asterisk, and you read there, it's got this a smart feature that adapts to your playing style in real time. So something very similar there. You also have this HQI perfect patch as well, which is a bit more CPU heavy, but has the perfect version of the contact resampling algorithm to provide an even higher quality sound. So on paper, this one you would think comes out on top, but let's see what the reality is. So moving into the library itself. So a quick look at the user interface. The Iconic Violin, I love the simplicity. Everything's right there in front of you. I love this bit at the top where you can see you're going through the different dynamic layers. That's automatically linked to your mod wheel. This is vibrato. I'm going to link that to my usual vibrato CCC there. We have all our mic positions there. You can see some of them are already naturally panned. The panning is this top bit here. Plenty of articulations. The main differences in articulation wise is really this bottom row, all these swells and these little crescendo short bits here right at the end, and I believe the Tremolo Sol Pont. Those are the added articulations, while Spitfire Solo Violin has basically everything else, except it doesn't have 3 different types of staccatos. It's only got the 2, but we'll get to that when we go into the little demos. Now, clicking on the advanced button here, we can extend the range if we really want. You can also see the round robins, which is another comparison feature. All the shorts within this library have 5 round robins, while with the Spitfire Solo Violin library, all of them have 4, except the Spitcato, which has 8. So on average, I guess overall this one has more, but really the Spitcato with the 8 round robins might just take the cake. We'll see when we get into the actual demos. You can also adjust the velocity sensitivity for the legato here. So if you play lightly, you'll get a portamento with the legato. If you play quite harsh, you'll get this fast legato. Now moving into the Spitfire Solo Violin, there's 2 different patches. You have the Total Performer patch, which is this one here. You can see our mic positions there. But you also have your standard one here. You have all your articulations, vibrato, dynamics, release, tightness, expression. If you really want to get more into the nitty gritty, we can see it with the shorts. There's our round robins, and you can see there's the 8 there as well. With the Bartok Pizzicato, you can see that's here, almost a separate articulation, but it's actually the top velocity of the Pizzicato on the Iconic Violin library. So that's the user interfaces. I feel it's time for some audio demos. So let's go back into our main. We will start with our legato sustain, and then we'll also move into the total performance legato patch as well. I'll do some side-by-side comparisons. And when we get to the shorts is when we will do our mic positions. So without further ado, let's do some demos. So beautiful legato. I love that fast little bit you can get in there as well. I love the fact that you can see your dynamics, you can see what type of legato you're using with that little animation there. But swiftly moving on to the total performance violin patch over here. Let's have a little tinker with this and see how it sounds. I feel with the Spitfire one is a lot more expressive. You have a lot more control over the vibrato. You really have nothing to extreme expression there with the vibrato. And right at the bottom you have like a tremolo, and of course with the total performance patch you've got those shorts as well. And I feel putting a lot of, if you put some work into it, you can get an absolutely brilliant sound of it. But with the iconic violin, I feel it's easier to get a beautiful sound out of it. But overall, the sound quality of both is exceptional. It really, I think, is to personal preference, but personally I think the iconic violin is just a little bit easier and has that slight edge. Another reason why I feel this has a little bit more of an edge is the fact that this legato, we can put it on any of the other articulations. So right now it's on the sustains. I can go over to the Flautando and turn the legato on. And I love that feature of this library, the fact that this legato is not just for the sustains, but it's for the Flautando, it's for the sopponticello, it's for the harmonic. You can apply it to just about any articulation you want with this. And I absolutely love that feature, and it really does put an edge on this in comparison to something like Spitfire Audio's violin. Now let's move into the shorts. Now the fact that with this library we get 3, and it's kind of a bugbear of mine with a lot of violin libraries, the staccato feels more like a spiccato in a lot of libraries, and the fact that this staccato, as you'll see now, is quite relatively long, but that is a staccato. It is, yes, it's short, but it's not as sharp as a spiccato. Or even go a step further, the fact that you have that flexibility, I know it's a feature I would use a lot, just having that slightly longer staccato, as it were. But to me, that's more of a normal and natural staccato. While if you go over to the Spitfire audio library with the shorts, the staccato feels more like a spiccato. But I guess a lot of that's down to interpretation, but at the end of the day it's nice having those extra options. But to me this staccato is a bit too short, but the spiccato, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love these. And I love the flexibility with the dynamics as well, and just the attention to the velocity sensitivity of this as well. Let's do something similar back with this library and a couple of these staccatos. So there you have it, side by side. I feel the iconic violin is a lot warmer, but I feel it could just be down to the mic positions in the room it was recorded in. Speaking of mic positions, let's move into that part of the video. So we'll just have it on the fastest spiccato that we have. Go for a spot, see how this sounds. Still very warm, but quite in your face. You can definitely hear a lot of the room there. Spot 2. That's more like the Spitfire Audio one, actually. I quite like that. It's more mid, more natural, while I feel the Spot 1's quite warm. There is a difference, though, which is nice to see. That feels like Spot 1. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much difference between Spot 1 and Spot 3, but Spot 2 it definitely is distinctly different. So that's the tree, the outrigger. Beautiful room. I really do like this room here. Beautiful, nice range of mic positions. They are quite distinctly different, especially, well, Spot 2, Spot 1, tree, outrigger and surround. So we do have a variety of mic positions. Let's move into the Spitfire Audio one, starting with the close. Moving into the decatry. And now for our ambient mic. Three very distinct and unique mic positions with the Spitfire Audio one, and the fact that you can of course mix all these mic positions and to tune the sound to how you want it. I don't feel the fact that the Spitfire Audio has 3 in comparison to 6 as a disadvantage, because I still feel you can mix between all those mic positions and get either a nice close or distant sound how you like it. So although the iconic violin has double the mic positions, does it have double the sounds you can create? I don't think so, but it's nice having those options. Now let's move on to the Pizzicato, and we're going to just use, I think my favourite was Spot 2 and a bit of decatry is how we're going to leave it. Nice range of dynamics, nice plucky intimate sound there, really nicely recorded, and of course with the 5 round robins as well. Let's move over to Spitfire Audio. I think the Spitfire one has a bit more dynamic range, or the velocity sensitivity is slightly better tuned. It could be just because I'm more used to it, because I don't know, the quieter ones on the iconic violin, I'm just struggling a bit. Nah, I'm getting it there. I don't know. I think, again, personal preference. They both have beautiful sounds. And I'm struggling to differentiate which one I prefer. I'm going to leave it down to personal preference again. Which one do you prefer there? But let's now move into the Marcato. We don't actually have a side-by-side comparison with this, but they kind of did call this one the total performer of this library. So let's see how it actually plays. So the initial attack, you almost have this staccato that leads into a sustain, unless you play quite quietly. But it is a nice all-in-one sort of patch. I don't know, actually. Useful, it's there. We'll go with it. Tremolo, let's move on then. We do have a side-by-side comparison with this. Nice scratchy sound. It's a tremolo patch. I don't know what more you want me to say about it. It's there. They both sound good. The quality's there. I'm not going to complain about either of them. It's a tremolo patch. Consoldino. I feel the Spitfire audio one has a little bit more volume, but what puts this one and just gives it the edge is the fact that I can do this. Press the legato, and now I have legato consoldino. And that just gives this library, I feel, the edge on the other one. Trills. They both have trills, the quality's there. Nothing to really say about that. Now let's move on to Sul Tasto. Now, we don't actually have a side-by-side comparison for Sul Tasto with Spitfire audio, but I don't think that's a game changer. Let's move on to the Flautando. They're both absolutely gorgeous and beautiful patches. I'm really liking the iconic violin Flautando. I don't know if it's just because it's a little bit different and I'm so used to the Spitfire audio one because I've used it so much. I'm just enjoying just a little bit of variety, but they're definitely a little bit different, but the quality of them is both exceptional. And again, personal preference, I really feel, is going to be the deal breaker there. Now, harmonics. The difference between the two libraries is the Spitfire audio one has harmonic shorts, while this one simply just has the harmonics. But again, a thing that I'm going to say again is just adding that edge is the fact that I can turn this into a legato. And so the fact that we have that and the fact that we can turn the legato on is a deal breaker. But we'll turn the legato off quickly just so we can get some nice chords in, and then we'll move over to the Spitfire audio one. I feel you've got a lot more dynamics with the Spitfire one. I was really quite, you can see how low I was actually sometimes on that. So in regards to the harmonics, I'm just really liking the fact that we have that legato with the iconic violin. Yes, you've got the shorts with the other one, but the legato and the longs aren't as convincing fast pace. So really the fact that that has the extra articulation, but then the fact that with the legato with the other one, I guess it's down to personal preference and what you see yourself using this library with. So Tremolo Sol Pont. This is not something we have with the other library. Tremolo Sol Pont, there you go. So Sol Ponticello is the last articulation that the both libraries have in common. We'll then go through all the ones the iconic violin has extra, and then all the ones Spitfire audio has extra. I'm going to say it, but I prefer the iconic violin Sol Ponticello, almost by a mile. It's just so much more tame, and I feel the library overall, the iconic violin library overall, is a lot more tame, while the Spitfire audio is a lot more raw. You've got more of the extremes, and it can take a little bit more work to get the sound you're wanting, while the iconic violin, I feel, is a lot easier. But then if you're wanting those extremes, like the vibrato, for example, you're not quite getting it. But then again, the fact that we get this legato button and everything, and I can press it for the Sol Ponticello, and I can have a legato Sol Ponticello line if I really want. I love that, and it's probably my favourite feature of this library. Swells short, so all of these we do not get with Spitfire audios. Nice added feature, because half the time they want you to buy another Swells library, so the fact they're including it with this is really good of them. This is something I wish Spitfire Audio would do. So many times do I want this sort of accent right at the end of a piece, and this library has it. These added articulations, I really feel make a big difference and really will be the difference between you buying this or the other one. But vice versa, moving into Spitfire Audio, this does have a couple of articulation I do use regularly. For example, collegno. An articulation I do use a lot and absolutely love. I don't really use the brush Bartok. But that is the extent of the articulations over here. So what is my personal final verdict? In all honesty, I feel the iconic violin has the edge on Spitfire Audio here, with that legato mode being applicable to basically any long articulation that you have. You've got all these beautiful additional articulations. Yes, I know we're missing collegno, which is one I use a lot, but overall, this is a great library, and it's the first library Stream Tech Music actually made. They only have 2 libraries. They have the iconic violin and the Millennium organ, which I have checked out as well. Link to that video will be on the screen right now. But I'm really intrigued to see what this company comes out with next. I would love them to do a cello, or maybe a wind instrument as well, but definitely a company to keep your eye on. And I'm expecting great things from them, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this library. It's definitely one I'm going to be finding myself using a lot, and might be using it over my usual Spitfire Solo Strings, which is a library I rave a lot about, and I've done a whole walkthrough and review of the full product. I know we've just looked at the Spitfire Solo Violin library, just to give it a side-by-side. But this is a beautiful library, and for not a bad price. I would definitely recommend it. The quality is there. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.